Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the B segment of episode 64 of Codename Kids Next Door, Operation H.O.M.E. We begin this segment with a series of flashbacks, starting with the birth of number 3. Shortly after number 3 is born, she receives a rainbow monkey toy. This particular type of rainbow monkey is called a My First Rainbow Monkey. The other flashbacks show us number 3 taking her first steps, number 3 learning how to ride a bike, and number 3 becoming a member of the Kids Next Door organization. In all of these flashbacks, number 3 is with her My First Rainbow Monkey, and we see that the toy is looking older and older over the course of time. We then cut to the present day of the series, and we see the Sector V operatives are in pursuit of Count Spankulot in the middle of the night. For this mission, number 3 has brought her My First Rainbow Monkey, which looks even older compared to the flashbacks that we just saw. Count Spankulot ambushes number 3, but the 4 other Sector V operatives do manage to chase after Count Spankulot after this ambush happens, but Count Spankulot manages to escape when the 4 other Sector V operatives hear number 3 scream. The 4 other Sector V operatives soon learn that number 3's screams are because the head of her My First Rainbow Monkey fell off from Count Spankulot's ambush. The next scene takes us to the Sector V treehouse, and we see number 3 is in her room sewing her My First Rainbow Monkey back together. We also see that she sews a button onto the toy while she is fixing the toy. Shortly after number 3 fixes her My First Rainbow Monkey, number 1 enters her room, and number 1 tries to gently tell number 3 how some things just get old over the course of time. But when number 1 uses the word decommissioned, this upsets number 3, and she refuses to hear anything else that number 1 has to say. Frustrated, number 1 storms out of number 3's room, and number 5 enters number 3's room to offer her some Rainbow Munchies cereal to cheer her up. Number 3 notices that the Rainbow Munchies taste different now compared to earlier in the series. Number 3 comments that there's a stronger sugar taste in the cereal now. If I'm not mistaken, I believe she says that it's 37% more. I believe that's what number 3 says, if I'm not mistaken. And while number 3 is eating the cereal, she notices an ad on the cereal box. This ad is about a retirement home for Rainbow Monkey toys called Fluffy Meadows. Number 5 is baffled to hear that there's a retirement home for Rainbow Monkey toys. Number 3, however, thinks it's a great idea. Maybe this retirement home is where her My First Rainbow Monkey can rest. So, at a later point in time, number 3 and number 5, with number 3's My First Rainbow Monkey, have arrived at Fluffy Meadows, and the manager of the facility is giving them a tour of Fluffy Meadows, while also explaining various activities at the facility. One of the activities that we get to see is a bingo game, and the staff member is a little frustrated that no one has gotten bingo yet. But we, the viewers, see that, we see that the players are all Rainbow Monkey toys. So after the tour, and after hearing a bit more about the facility, number 3 tells the manager that she likes what she hears so far, but she needs a moment to talk it over with her My First Rainbow Monkey. The manager is understanding about this, and he encourages number 3 to take all the time that she needs. So number 3 is talking to her My First Rainbow Monkey toy, and eventually she does decide to let her My First Rainbow Monkey stay at the facility after number 5 gently tells number 3 that they should be leaving now. Number 3 tearfully says goodbye to her My First Rainbow Monkey toy, and then number 3 and number 5 leave the facility. The next day rolls around, and we're back at the Sector V treehouse. Number 5 is offering number 3 some Rainbow Munchie cereal to help number 3 cheer up over parting with her My First Rainbow Monkey toy. That doesn't seem to work, so number 5 actually offers to number 5 actually offers to give number 3 the prize in this particular box of Rainbow Munchies, but number 3 recognizes the prize. The prize is the button that she sewed onto her My First Rainbow Monkey not too long ago. Number 3 starts to think that something must be wrong. Number 5, though, thinks that maybe there are multiple copies of that type of button, but number 3 is adamant that this button is the only one of its kind, and number 3 is determined to see what's wrong with her My First Rainbow Monkey, so she rushes off to Fluffy Meadows, bringing number 5 with her. They arrive at, we then head to Fluffy Meadows, but the manager insists that he never seen number 3 and number 5 before this moment, even though number 5, in a frustrated manner, points out that they were just at the facility yesterday. The manager, though, still insists that he doesn't know who they are, and that they never left a Rainbow Monkey toy at this facility, which makes number 3 more and more angry. Number 3 is actually starting to enter her anger mode before number 5 drags number 3 out of the facility. Number 3 is adamant that they aren't leaving without her My First Rainbow Monkey, and number 5 assures number 3 that she has no intention of stopping number 3 from reclaiming her toy. They just have to figure out a different way to figure out what's going on. So at a later point in time, the manager hears someone at the door of the facility, but when the manager opens the door, he just finds a basket with 2 rainbow monkeys in the basket, and a note mentioning that these toys need to be taken care of. The manager brings the Rainbow Monkey toys into the facility, but then he enters a dark room where he's talking to a shadowy figure. The manager tells the shadowy figure that 2 more have arrived at the facility, and the shadowy figure is pleased to hear this. Afterwards, the manager sends the 2 Rainbow Monkey toys down a chute, and this leads the Rainbow Monkeys to a dark room with a pile of Rainbow Monkey toys. Yes, the 2 Rainbow Monkey toys in the basket are actually number 3 and number 5 in disguise, and number 3 and number 5 are confused about this dark room and why the Rainbow Monkey toys are in here and not out doing various activities throughout the facility. Number 5 isn't exactly sure why, but she says that she's going to try and find an exit, while number 3 tries to find her My First Rainbow Monkey toy. So while number 3 is trying to search for her My First Rainbow Monkey toy, a giant claw grabs a pile of Rainbow Monkey toys, and number 3 happens to be in this pile when the claw grabs the pile and is heading off to a different part of the room. Meanwhile, number 5 does finds a door, but this leads to a chamber filled with something, and the door closes and the chamber is being filled with more of the content that's within this chamber. Number 5 finds a ladder, and she does manage to climb up to the top of this she manages to climb up to the top of this chamber, and above the there's a circular hole at the top of the chamber that number 5 was in, and there's a shredder over this hole. And we see that the claw that has number 3 and the other Rainbow Monkey toys in them, the claw is now dangling above this shredder. And number 5 is trying to figure out how to rescue number 3, but then the shadowy figure from earlier makes her presence known to number 3 and number 5. Number 5 recognizes the voice of the shadowy figure and figures that the shadowy figure is Nurse Claiborne from Operation Pink Eye. The shadowy figure steps out from the shadows and confirms that yes, the shadowy figure is Nurse Claiborne, and half of her face is covered with pink eye crust from the events of Operation Pink Eye. I believe it's the left side of her face. Yes, I believe the left side of her face is the side that's covered in pink eye crust, if I'm not mistaken. Nurse Claiborne admits that after the truth about her apple crumbles were exposed, she couldn't find any other jobs at other schools, and she couldn't find a way to sell her baked goods either. So the only work she could find was the Fluffy Meadows retirement home for Rainbow Monkey toys. And while she was here, Nurse Claiborne found out that Rainbow Munchies gain a more sugary taste if they're made from real Rainbow Monkey toys. So that's why the Rainbow Munchies have tasted different compared to earlier in the series. And Nurse Claiborne does intend to drop number 3 into the shredder along with the Nurse Claiborne is preparing to drop number 3 along with those other Rainbow Monkey toys into the shredder. Number 5 and number 3 do try to number 5 tries to fight off Nurse Claiborne, but Nurse Claiborne manages to push the button to have the crane drop the Rainbow Monkey toys, and we hear number 3 screaming. Number 5 is worried that number 3 has met her end, but Nurse Claiborne assures number 5 that she will be joining number 3 soon enough. But then we, the viewers, and number 5 see that number 3 is still hanging onto the crane or the claw. She didn't fall through the shredder. She was just faking it to trick Nurse Claiborne. And this works. Number 3 is able to sneak attack Nurse Claiborne. And Nurse Claiborne falls, but she's holding onto the ledge. Yes, she's holding onto the ledge of the top of the chamber, so she's dangling above the shredder. And Nurse Claiborne is pleading for them to lift her up. Number 3 says that they will lift her up, but only if she fulfills certain promises. Nurse Claiborne agrees to any promise, Nurse Claiborne agrees to fulfill any promise if it means her life will be saved. Number 3's, the promises that number 3 wants Nurse Claiborne to make, however, are kind of random, to say the least. But number 5 says that she has certain promises in mind. So afterwards, we do see that Nurse Claiborne has been rescued, and she's sewing number 3's My First Rainbow Monkey back together. And then number 5 and number 3 reveal that the promise wasn't just for number 3's My First Rainbow Monkey toy. The promise is Nurse Claiborne has to sew all of the Rainbow Monkey toys that have been shredded back together. And then, next up is the end credits scene. During this scene, the staff member of Fluffy Meadows, who's running the bingo game, is pleading for any of the Rainbow Monkey toys to say bingo because his work time frame should be over by now, and he just wants to go home. And then suddenly, he hears a voice actually call bingo, and he's surprised by this, and that's how we end this segment. So there you go. Like this segment's sibling segment, this segment features number 5 in the spotlight role. But in this segment, number 5 shares the spotlight role with number 3. And this stands out in particular because this would be an example of a buddy entry between number 3 and number 5. Yes, throughout the course of the series, yes, in previous seasons and even in the next season, we do get several entries that show buddy entries between number 2 and number 4. So this time around, we get a buddy entry for number 3 and number 5, and I really liked it. It was nice to see number 3 and number 5's interactions with each other, both as friends and as teammates, and I think they made a great team duo. And I do think it's unfortunate that number 3 and number 5 didn't have any more buddy entries. Yeah, number 2 and number 4 had a lot of buddy entries, so I do think it's unfortunate that number 3 and number 5 never got to have many buddy entries like number 2 and number 4 did. But some fans are hoping that maybe the spin-off series or the sequel series, that is, if it ever does get greenlit, of course. Yes, if the sequel series or spin-off series ever does get greenlit, or gets to start production, maybe that could be a chance for more buddy entries for number 3 and number 5. Of course, as of the recording of this video, the sequel series or spin-off series has not been greenlit yet, so we don't know if it will, but fingers crossed that it will eventually be greenlit to have more content from this franchise, more stories based on this franchise. And yeah, it would be cool to see more number 3 and number 5 buddy entries. Now, otherwise, this entry also does show us a little insight about number 3's backstory. Yes, we learned that number 3 became a fan of Rainbow Monkeys almost practically after she was born, when she received a Rainbow Monkey toy. And the My First Rainbow Monkey toys are rather interesting because of how they look older over the course of time. And I don't mean just the traditional way that a toy might look after time, but this particular Rainbow Monkey toy actually looks elderly over the course of time. Or yes, the toy progressively looks more and more elderly over the course of time, and that's pretty impressive. I mean, yeah, you kind of wonder, how did the Rainbow Monkey Corporation figure out how to make toys become elderly over time? Or maybe that was just the show's way of representing the toy got older. Who knows? But it was an interesting detail all the same, I thought, though. And yes, the other big detail with this segment is the Rainbow Munchies cereal made a comeback, because the Rainbow Munchies cereal proved to be very popular, and even with characters who aren't really fans of Rainbow Monkeys, like number 4. Number 4 isn't really a fan of Rainbow Monkeys, but he does like the Rainbow Munchies cereal. And yes, it was an interesting detail how this segment kept commenting about how the Rainbow Munchies tasted different compared to earlier, and we did find out that the reason behind that was because Nurse Claiborne was shredding up Rainbow Monkey toys to turn into Rainbow Munchies cereal content. And yeah, I thought that was some clever foreshadowing, how they kept commenting that the Rainbow Munchies tasted different from earlier. And it does also assure fans that Rainbow Munchies aren't normally made out of Rainbow Monkey toys. That only started to happen once Nurse Claiborne went to Fluffy Meadows. And speaking of Nurse Claiborne, yes, Nurse Claiborne made her return in this segment. Once again, she was the focus villain, like she was in Season 3's Operation Pink Eye, and the eye crust on half of her face, I think the left half of her face, does show the results of that segment. Or yes, that shows the consequences of her actions from that segment. Or yes, Joe Beluga had hit Nurse Claiborne with a water balloon filled with the pink eye virus. I believe that crust is from Joe Beluga's actions in that segment. But yes, it was interesting to see Nurse Claiborne make her return appearance. And yeah, I definitely remember when I first watched this segment, back when it first aired on TV, I definitely didn't expect Nurse Claiborne to be the villain of the segment, so that was quite a surprise. And yes, though I guess it makes sense, it still fits with Nurse Claiborne's theme. Or yes, Nurse Claiborne's theme is making food that has ingredients that are not very ideal, or rather horrifying ingredients. That might be the best way to describe it. Although I think most would agree that the Rainbow Munchies having Rainbow Monkey toys added to them is probably much tamer compared to the pink eye crust apple crumbles. Or yes, in comparison, her operations this segment were rather tame compared to her operations beforehand. And yes, this is Nurse Claiborne's last major appearance in the series. She might have cameo appearances in the future. I'll have to see once my memory is refreshed from catching the later entries. But yes, there we go for now. So I thought this was a nice buddy entry between number 3 and number 5. It's a shame that they didn't have more buddy entries between those two Sector V operatives, and it was an interesting surprise to have Nurse Claiborne be the focus villain of this segment, making her return from her Season 3 appearance. And otherwise, yeah, the idea of a retirement home for Rainbow Monkey toys was pretty interesting, but clever still. And otherwise, yes, I believe that's it. So as of this video, we've now discussed the B segment of episode 64 of Codename Kids Next Door on this channel. Take care, and until next time.